So we're here. We just want to ask, why are you protesting? What's the big reason why?
Because I think there needs to be a whole change in our system. Like, it's just so fucked. Like, literally so fucked. And like, I have a lot of like close friends that are like of color, and it's just like, I think if you're quiet as a white person, like, we have the biggest influence in this whole country. So it's like, if I'm sitting back being quiet, like, I'm supporting their side. You know what I mean? So I need to like step up and like do my part to anything that can change, you know?
And why I protested today is to do it in solidarity with people all over the country,
Right.
And to participate in a grand American tradition.
I mean, I think having the opportunity to be out there and just kind of express your opinion or what you think is correct is as much as you can do in these times.
So why are you guys here to protest today? Like, what's the big reason why?
I was really upset because me being black, I want to stand up for myself and for others that are the same color as me.
Do you have any reason?
So for me, it's more so like really trying to understand what happens and why we're doing it. You know what I mean? Because honestly, in a lot of places, I don't even come to stuff like this. But I feel like this is an instance where it's like, it's 2020 now, and this needs to stop. We need to kind of cut it out. Like, this is some bullshit. Can I cuss?
No, yeah.
Yeah, this is some bullshit. Okay.
We think it's important to stand, with the whole movement. It's beyond messed up, everything and it's been way too long, and, we do feel like a sense of white privilege our whole lives, and it's important to, stand up with everybody.
So do you talk about this conversation with like your family members or anyone else?
We do, yeah. We're all sisters.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So we do, but yeah, and my friends, but.
What are the reasons why you guys are protesting today?
Because I think that cops are assholes to everybody and somebody needs to speak up. And when I was over there protesting without being violent, just holding my sign to their face, somebody threw a rock and they came towards me and I fell and they were about to hit me. They were pushing her, they were pushing me, they were pushing a bunch of people really small. They chased them, man. It is so crazy out there, and I don't understand why people try to defend them. There are some people trying to block the cops, but the cops are the ones hurting us. They're the ones attacking people for no reason. They get the people from the front because people from the back are throwing stuff. They start pushing people, they get on top. They arrested a bunch of people on the side. They're just doing the most. They said that they're supposed to be there to protect us, but they're not.
So you are here to protest, but what did you guys see like today?
Well, for starters, one of the things I see mostly is people breaking into the 7-Eleven right here on Wabash and I think Washington we're on.
Yeah,
and
Adams here.
What's crazy is I saw this one guy with a shovel. He tried to hit and break a window. He couldn't do it. Another guy came, this tall, buff white dude. He came and he cracked the window, dropped the shovel, and then took off. It's just crazy. It's nothing but pure chaos out here in Chicago.
A couple windows being busted, some car windows being busted. A lot of 7-Elevens went down. Foot Locker, the Nike store, House of Hoops. Everything is actually empty by now.
How do you feel about the violence that has happened in Minneapolis with tear gassing the people who are protesting?
I feel like that is so dumb and people need to stand up for themselves. This is why people protest, so stuff like this wouldn't happen. If they would just learn how to be equal and treat everybody with respect despite being white, black, Mexican, anything, they should be able to treat people with respect, and they should not be harming people. Like tear gas, like hitting them with batons, that's not right. They have to be there to protect us instead of they're hurting us.
Well, for me, I understand people's anger and upset and why they want to be violent, but in my opinion, the aftermath of the violence that everyone has to clean up and deal with is the real problem. You know what I'm saying? So it becomes like, damn, yeah, we fucked up the police station, but now when someone actually has a robbery or a murder or something to report, how are the police gonna do their jobs? You know what I mean? So it's like the aftermath, or even like the AutoZone. It's like, damn, I worked at this AutoZone. Now I don't have a job to go to tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? So these things become like a big issue.
I agree with her, but at the same time, I feel like a lot of violence has been taken against us, and when we become violent, it's an issue. So I don't see anything wrong with it. I see there are issues, yes, but overall, I'm for it.
Have you been protesting for today?
I just decided to ride downtown just to see everything that was kind of like going on, but I didn't think it was gonna be like this,
And for me, I would expect people to just kind of like be in the streets, but not destroy, where we live. Next week, everything is going to be open. So then where do we get to go? What about the people that need jobs? Now they don't have a place to go to work now. I don't know.
I know, I'm so torn. Like, we saw so much today, and like watching it from Minneapolis, I did think it was warranted, and I do believe it was warranted, but it was hard to see it in person, so it was, I don't know, I struggled with it.
How do you feel about the people who are like looting, like Macy's and Target and all of it?
I don't think it was nice. We walked around and we walked the whole city, and it was very peaceful, but when you were in those violent situations, those didn't seem necessary.
Do you think that what they're doing is for protesting or because they just want to get what they want?
I think it's both. It's right in the middle, as you say, black and white, and this right here is literally in the gray area.
Initially, I kind of thought like this might be a little too far. It gives the protests a bad name. But after being there, I think it's just kind of something that happens over time. Like if you see one person start doing something, you're going to start doing it too. It's kind of like a system of chaos.
Right.
Only thing I've witnessed is what's right here, and I think it's all wrong.
Do you know the reason why, like, maybe people are doing this kind of...
This behavior, I believe, is just people using it as an excuse to get the shit that they want that they can't regularly get on a daily basis, And so this does not reflect, I'm upset about someone's death. This is just, okay, I want to get the things that I want to get. This has nothing to do with that. This has nothing to do with a shift in mass consciousness at all.
Why do you think it's such a big outbreak now? Like, there's been like injustices before. Why do you think everyone's like enacting on it now?
I think people just had enough. Like, it's finally come to an end, and like that video is just like so like personal, you know what I mean? And it's just like hits hard, it hits different, and I think it's just finally like people are really like wanting to change the system, like wanting to do something,
I do actually think it's like, right, you're interviewing me with a microphone and a video camera, and it's people always ask the question like you're asking, it's always happened, but I think that we can document it and see it, and so more recently those things get caught on camera,
Right.
and then they go viral, and when people can see it, there's a visceral feeling, and because it's always happened, but I think throughout a lot of history, we never see it.
Right.
People probably get killed by the cops every day.
But what about like Laquan McDonald? Like that was like how many? Like 2014, right? Like
2014.
But there was like a bit of like riots, but not really.
Not really. Yeah, I think people are like it's a pressure cooker, maybe a kettle.
Kettle.
And it's such a deep injustice. And then I think, right, it's also depends on the city where it happens. Because LA, Rodney King.
Right, yeah.
But like in Minneapolis, I think those people, they have their own micro community. And then other people around the country see that and they also want to be there in solidarity for them.
So I think, honestly, it's more than just George Floyd because of the succession of multiple incidents. From Breonna Taylor, from Ahmaud Arbery, and all the other people in the past, you know what I'm saying? Like, all of these things kind of like, damn, how many more of us have to die before we're actually realized as human? And I think it also is the way that he was killed. Like, this is one of the first videos that I've actually seen.
And there's multiple videos up, and they keep coming up and keep coming up.
That video is like, can you please take your knee off his neck? Like, I think that's the constant. And then you're looking at the other officers like, please tell him to take his knee off of his neck. So that, and also we've been quarantined. And I think that this is a reason to come out. So now people really want to get outside, and if they're gonna get outside for a cause, this will be it.
Why do you think now a lot of people are acting on the police brutality now? Do you think it has to do with everyone being inside due to coronavirus?
I feel like this just depends on all of us. We're all fed up with all of this. Each person, each day, it's gonna be a different person that they're killing. They could be black, they could be Mexican, they could be white. They're gonna be killing everybody because they think that they have power. They think that they can just control us.
Like the woman, what is it, Cooper, with that dog situation. Oh, it's a black man. He's threatening my life. and I believe they took her dog away from her because she was like strangling the dog in the video, which is really pure irony if you ask me.
Do you think there's a reason why now everyone's acting on it, like speaking out more?
Yeah. Can I chime in on that one? I do think it's a reason why people are speaking out more, and it's really because we have got over in years of fear, stacked on top of fear, stacked on top of fear, stacked on top of fear, and usually, since we're the new generation, we wasn't growing up with that fear. We didn't grow up with that fear, and now we just literally tired of it. And I think that's where a lot of the animosity come from. It's not a joke and it's not a game. Love us just like we love other people, and we also love ourselves. And your soul can only be taken away if you give it away, you know? So if you keep it, and that's what we focusing on, keeping your soul, you know, and hopefully everybody out here keep their soul and not give it away and know what they're doing, try to keep the positivity and not trade too much towards the negativity.
Right.
And I think we'll be good.
Do you think that violent protesting in its nature is effective towards change, though?
I think it can definitely help get the message out there, but to an extent, it hurts the movement just as much as it helps.
So do you think that peaceful protesting is more warranted than violent one?
Yes, it does. It is. Like when you have the Women's March, March on Washington, the Women's March here, it was a peaceful protest, and everybody, black, white, Hispanic, they all came together in solidarity. This isn't it.
Do you think that Women's March was effective, though?
I believe it was effective, at least for me. It's not that, like, when you have a march, it's not going to change everybody's minds, but the ones that it does change, then that's what you go for. And so I love it, and I'm an advocate for women's rights and human rights, but not an advocate for this. So
I think peaceful is the goal, but in my opinion is like cops are always using violence. So just like if we're sitting back being quiet and trying to be peaceful, like it's not going to get our point across. So if we have to be violent, like, you know what I mean?
Right.
But I'd prefer not to be violent, but fuck cops, like they're taking lives, so like they're the most violent motherfuckers out there. Like,
right.
So fire with fire.
I don't think the police violence in Minneapolis was justified. I think that peaceful protest is like one tactic in the toolbox of civil rights.
Right.
And I think it can be very effective. You know, some of the biggest gains we've gained in our country have been through protesting. Think like gay rights, women's rights, civil rights, like in the 1960s, think about African Americans. I think the last protests I followed more closely were the protests, of course, in Hong Kong. You know, we could think of like the protests in the Arab Spring. So it can be a very effective tool.
Right. How do you feel about people saying like that all lives matter instead of black lives in particular?
I think that all lives matter is a true statement.
Black lives matter for sure, but all lives matter for sure. Any color, any race, any person, any gender, anyone.
Obviously all lives matter, but it's important to recognize that black people of color in this country have had such a struggle and have been oppressed for so long that they're, you know, screaming for people to hear them and to help, and, you know, for no one has been listening for a long time. So, you know, all lives matter, but they, you know, sometimes it's about, you know, kind of equity.
But I think when it got turned into like a slogan, it was used insincerely as a counter to Black Lives Matter. Because Black Lives Matter as a statement or a slogan, right, had a specific kind of thing. And when people use all lives matter as a counter protest, then it became really insincere, because it's kind of, you know, it's no different than if we were like in class or something, you and I, and somebody was talking about women's rights or feminism, and then a man started shouting, but what about men? Not all men, or something like that.
I think in like these times, in this context, it can definitely rub people the wrong way, but I think the idea of it is kind of right, like the idea that all lives matter, but in this specific times, maybe it's not something to be saying, because there's a priority on Black Lives Matter.
I do believe that everyone is important, but right now it's Black Lives Matter because they are the ones that are being treated badly. They're the ones that are being hurt. Yeah, you know, people, everybody's lives do matter, but right now it's about black people. It's about the people that are being hurt, the people that are being attacked constantly every day by police brutality and everything. They're being treated wrong, they're being racist towards them, and that is not right.
Do you think that racism will continue on even though we are like the next generation kind of a thing?
I think I don't think to the degree that it has. I think generationally, each time it gets better.
Do you think that history repeats itself though?
Yeah, but hopefully, people are becoming more and more aware of that.
I think it's something that we can work to make less of an issue, but it's something that's been around for a long time and unfortunately will probably be around for a long time.
What do you think that people should do in order for them to listen and change their ways?
To be honest, I don't know. I just honestly know that a lot of the issues that we see in the world today, it does deal with how we are raised as human beings. And so even with the cop that killed the guy, how he was raised, there are things that he faced as a child that he didn't deal with, and he brought it up, when he was as an adult, and now it's trickled over into other people, and that's hate, but I don't think that this is a solution. I just honestly, it just has to take people shifting their minds to want better, and that's all it is. We can try to do as much as we can, but this isn't changing anything,
So do you think that we should have a sweep of all the officers in America, even in suburbs and in cities as well?
No. I think they need to lock them four up for 50 years to set an example to whereas other officers will never do the same thing because they'll see they got 50 years. We're not going to do it. No.
So we should hold our officers in America accountable.
Yeah, accountable. What the heck? The guy didn't deserve, Mr. Floyd didn't deserve death. My gosh.
I gotta say, I really don't necessarily like the chaos, but
Justice for Floyd.
But one thing is for sure, we do need to have a better system in place. I was just earlier I was just at the gas station and I was saying, I think the best system that America could have or change to would be a policy that if a police officer is caught doing something wrong, especially on video, they should go to jail, get fired, lose all their credentials, the same way you or I would go to jail, get fired, and lose all of our credentials until they prove themselves innocent. And once proven innocent, then they could try to get their job back and try to become a functioning member in society. But until that happens...
It's just one question. It's just one motherfucking question. Why is it taking so long for them to motherfucking lock his ass up? That was cold-blooded murder.
4 days.
Murder. And then they just come out, he's fired? Fuck that. He killed the man.
Now that people are acting on it, do you think that it will change?
I hope so. I think it feels like more people are talking about it, so I hope it doesn't keep repeating and more and more people talk about it. You just have to keep being loud.
So I asked another guy, and he asked me a question. Do you think that there should be some kind of policy made with the changes with police brutality or anything of that matter?
Have body cameras, every single cop. It's crazy, and they all need to. The good cops need to stand up and say something. They have to be, held responsible also.
Protesting, all of that, do you think it's going to change anything?
Well, I think it should. I think it is going to change stuff. I don't think it's a one and done, tell you the truth. I think this should keep happening until justice is served.
Since we guys are protesting, you think that they're going to change their ways? What are you guys calling for? More personal training?
Listen, let me tell you what I'm calling for. I want the Department of Justice to do a overall sweep of every local police department in the country, even police departments who police or serve all white neighborhoods. Because I think that there's a disconnect to way they police those types of neighborhoods to when they police neighborhoods that are majority minority. Yeah. So it's I need an overall Department of Justice into every county, every city, and really dig deep into why policing is the way that it is in this country.
You gotta reform where there's issue at.
Do you have anything else to say?
Fuck 12. But Black Lives Matter.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. You guys are awesome.
Thank you.
Anything that you would like to add about the movement in general?
I think everyone should be kind of on board with the social movement if you're not necessarily with the looting or protesting. But if this is going to continue, hopefully just individual people's property doesn't get attacked, like cars and stuff like that. Keep it focused towards businesses that can afford to be looted a bit.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Appreciate it. Have a good one.
But I mean, that's Chicago. This is the rest of the world. I mean, I gotta say, it's crazy here, but it's worse in LA.
Oh, yeah.
So I gotta say, we still are very fortunate and blessed. And I gotta say to you, make sure you guys get out of here before nightfall, because it's gonna get worse.
Is there anything else you would like to add to this, or anything you have to say?
I feel like everyone, even if you're not protesting, educate other people. Educate people about what's going on. Stop defending cops because they're the ones hurting everybody else.
Thank you so much. Thank you for voicing your opinions, guys. I appreciate it.